Welcome back to the Bet Boost Brothers, episode 5. I'm Willie D,
And I'm Big Mike.
and it's conference championship weekend, and we're here to help you make the most of all these promos flying around.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're not here to pretend like we're insiders or we're experts when it comes to insider information or knowing the lines, or that we've got some kind of magic formula in terms of predicting scores or predicting winners, outcomes, that kind of stuff. We're just here to tell you how we're going to plan to use the promos and parlay those into opportunities to take advantage, get us on Vegas's side, and hopefully make a little bit of money.
Exactly. And in this video, we'll kick things off with our promo playbook, which we're hoping will be your go-to guide for this week's best promos. Then we'll share which promos we've already committed to ourselves. There's a few that are already out there that we like enough to have locked in, and that'll be our new segment called Lock It In. Just some bets we like, no guarantees, but they're the plays we're rolling with.
Yeah, and of course, we'll have our plus 100 playbook. We'll show you some of the things we've got locked in, but also some of the things we've got locked and loaded on deck, ready to go in anticipation of some of the promos we expect to see out there that will have that plus 100 threshold.
For sure. And then at the end, we'll hit you with another new segment of ours called The Final Tally. This is where we'll be recapping, for example, our national championship action from Monday. We
Mm-hmm.
had some success there,
Mm-hmm.
as well as some midweek promos that we jumped on. A lot of super boosts came up
Mm-hmm.
this week on Bet365. And then this last part, which I think is really big, Mike, this is where we're going to introduce our new promo playbook tracker.
Yeah, this tracker is going to allow us to show you how our locked in promos actually played out. So you'll be able to see a full picture of what our weekend, what our midweek bets look like, the super boost we jumped on, the parlay boosts we jumped on, and hopefully see how the strategy is having some success for us, and will hopefully continue to have success for us. Shout out to Willie D for putting his Excel skills to work there, putting that together. So we're excited to jump into that with you all.
Yeah, let's get to work.
Let's do it.
All right, it's time for the promo playbook where we highlight the promotions that caught our eye. So the first one on the board is DraftKings.
Yeah, so for DraftKings, looks like going into this weekend that we found one promo we like. It's the no sweat $5 max reward. The minimum odds on this bet is minus 500. There's definitely the option to get involved there. I think this is a solid bet. Good way to set yourself up specifically with if you want to go into the early game, potentially to have a reward to spin on the later game.
Mhm.
It's definitely a bet. I think that I like the no sweat bets, especially on those early games. I also saw a promo for a 20% boost on a 4-leg parlay plus 400. But honestly, for that percentage to get on plus 400, that's not even something worth putting on the screen.
Not a
So,
chance, Mike.
yeah.
Not us. Yeah,
But it
that's
is
something
out
for you
there.
all to look out for. Don't let them fool you.
Hmm.
Plus 400, I mean, you need 50% or more.
Yeah, I
You agree
agree.
with that, Mike?
No, I agree. 100%.
Yep.
100%.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, definitely not 20%. And yeah, just to piggyback off Mike, I definitely like this bet. Obviously it's a $5 bet. So, for me, it was part of the strategy last week, starting with a no sweat, trying to get a modest amount of profit and use that profit into a bigger play, a bigger promotion. So I think this will definitely be part of our repertoire.
Yeah, I agree. What else do we got on the docket?
Let's check it out.
Next up, we've got FanDuel. And with FanDuel, it looks like we've been able to find ourselves a 20% profit boost. And this one only has a plus 100 threshold to get involved. I really like FanDuel. We'll get into some of the options out there with this bet. They've got kind of a unique same game parlay edition this week. I don't know if it's one they add every week where you can actually do an either or touchdown score and get that in the mix, which is sets it apart from some of what the other sites are offering, at least for this upcoming weekend. So it's kind of caught my eye a little bit. 20% isn't the best boost. I'm hoping that we see some more 30%, 50% out there in the future, but it's definitely with the plus 100 threshold, not a terrible option.
Yep, couldn't agree more, Mike. We were just hating on 20%, but this is 20% at plus 100, not plus 400. So this is certainly on our radar. I think this will be an option when we
Mm-hmm.
start talking about our plus 100 playbook. Obviously, we're going to be targeting a bet 365 who are known to come in at 50% or 30% for essentially the same boost. But this is definitely good to have in our back pocket.
Yeah, yeah. And especially for a weekend where both games are contained to the same day, there's a possibility we only get one 30% boost or one 50% boost that has a plus 100 threshold. So this kind of gives you that alternative if you want to get involved in both games with the plus 100 option.
For sure.
All right, Will, do you want to take the next one?
Yep, I'm all for it. All right, next we have Caesars. All right, well, Caesars, they always come through with some big time promo plays. They did for us last weekend. And shocker, Mike, it's the exact same promotion. And even better, they gave us two.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the 50% same game parlay profit boost pack,
Mm-hmm.
keyword pack. They give you two of these, so one on each game. This is a plus 400 criteria, so it is a hard bet to profit on. We found that out the hard way last week, but a way that we approach that typically is to just do small units, just a $5 bet.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably do one. Well, I know we will. We'll talk about that later. We're definitely adding this to our repertoire, one for each game. Worst case scenario, we lose $10. Best case scenario, we might pay off for all of our bets if just one hits. So I
Mm-hmm.
love this kind of bet. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I definitely, plus 400 is obviously, longer odds but you have that 50% boost, which is a nice little bump. You're turning a plus 400 bet to a plus 600 bet. And so that's, I think, a good investment, especially if you're doing something small, $5, $3, $2. I know last week I split it into a 3 and a 2, and I kind of hedged the money line. You could do something like that. We're gonna do a different approach this week and tackle both games separately. But there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of take advantage of those that double 50% boost.
For sure.
All right, so those are the promos that are out as of recording, which is on Thursday. We anticipate more promos to drop over the next few days, and we'll definitely jump into those over the weekend once those come up in our next videos. But for now, we're going to hop into our next segment, Will.
Yeah, the lock it in segment. Excited about this one. Let's jump right in. So, first, what you're seeing here on the screen down below is our locked in bet for the DraftKings No Sweat promotion that we went over in our last segment. So, similar to last week, kind of, walking the line between a safe play, but also enough with it being a no sweat bet, taking a little extra risk, stepping a little bit away from that plus 100 benchmark that we like to live by. This one comes in at plus 154. Me and Mike collaborated on this bet, and that's a theme you'll see on this channel going forward, right, Mike? We're gonna collaborate on our bets. Just I think it's easier for you all as our viewers to follow it, and also oftentimes we're on the same page.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely a lot easier when we have less games to bet on. We want to make sure we're kind of trailing each other and stay on the same bet. We know over the last few weeks we had, like, I had my bets, he had his bets, and we had all the same promos but split up in different ways, and that might have been a little bit more difficult to follow. I think, kind of showing you more of a united front will hopefully, make things a little bit easier to follow.
For sure. Well, on that note, 25 plus yards for Hertz. I know that's something you're really thinking can hit this weekend.
Yeah, I like 25 rush yards for Hertz. I think that I don't remember how much he got last game. I know he had that big touchdown run. He probably had close to 25 yards just in that rush alone. But this one feels pretty safe. I think that all it takes is a couple scrambles for a first down, really. If he gets 10, 12 yards on a couple, man coverage plays where he can sneak a few, or everyone bites on a Saquon handoff and he can get 12. So I'm hoping he can get this in 2 or 3 runs, but if we're lucky, he'll spread it over maybe 5 to 10 runs.
Yeah, 5 to 10, 5 to 10. A lot of tush pushes. One here, two there, they add up.
Yeah.
But and then the Saquon Barkley touchdown. I mean, if you all are looking at these two games, you'll notice, what is it, -210, -220, maybe even less than that. Vegas really thinks he's going to score this game.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some big games against the Commanders this season. And obviously he's on fire. This past week he had, huge game, and he could have had a touchdown the game before as well, but he decided to slide down. So I definitely think it's a good play there.
Sweet. And then sticking with a theme of ours that's been consistent from last week to this week, Jaden Daniels passing touchdown. Especially Daniels. I mean, he's a great pocket presence, and I know he's a rookie, but I think 1+ is well in his repertoire. There's even some bets I'm looking at that have him potentially getting 2, but for this one, I think 1 is a good goal.
Yeah, I think one it's the playoffs. He's going to be, whether they're losing big, or they're winning. I think that potential for a passing touchdown is always there.
Sweet.
Sweet, sweet. And then I do we want to move into the plus 100 plays here, or should we jump straight into our spicy plus 1 or plus 400s?
Yeah, I mean, I say we stick with what we have locked in so far. So those are going to be our Caesars plus 400 plays.
Hmm.
We talked about in our last segment the 250% Caesars boosts needed to be plus 400. So me and Mike, we put the brain trust together and we came up with a plus 400 play that we feel real good about for each game.
Yeah, I mean, so starting with the first game, again, we're going back to the Commanders Eagles. We've got, just like Will was just talking about, Jane Daniels over 1.5 touchdowns passing. We've got the Commanders plus 12.5 points, so we're buying about 6.5 points there. And then Terry McLaurin, 4 receptions. That's probably one of our safer floors, I would say, in this parlay. And then we're fading Saquon on the yards, and this is strictly rushing yards under 128.5. Again, we got to get to plus 400, so this is a little bit riskier. We're kind of going out on a limb. I know he's had some big games against the Commanders, big game last week, but maybe those Jalen Hurts rushing, maybe they get into a position where they can rest him a little bit, or maybe he catches a few for a big gain, and doesn't necessarily get them all on the ground rushing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And just to kind of touch on some of those points Mike talked about, I think the 12.5 for the Commanders were essentially doubling the spread there. So it's Commanders leaning, but
Hmm.
you could easily rebuild this and do the Eagles minus a certain number if you're feeling better that way. And then McLaurin, like you said, we feel good about that 4 number, whether they're winning or losing. He's
Yeah.
their best player, maybe behind Daniels on offense. And then the Daniels 1.5, it's certainly optimistic. That's a plus money bet on its own. So we're kind of riding the wave that Washington's going to overperform in this game.
Hmm.
And the Saquon under 128.5. I said we put the brain trust together. This is one that I've been pushing kind of heavier on Mike, and I think I've got him on board with it, at least in the context of this bet. I've seen it more like 131 on other
Hmm.
apps, but seeing as the boost was specific to Caesars, we had to go with Caesars number, and it was 128.5. So I'm still going to just be optimistic that he doesn't run all over Washington like he did the first 2 games of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's 128.5 rushing on its own is a huge number. So it's kind of crazy that that's the line, but it's Saquon Barkley. So it at the same time, you're never going to feel super comfortable betting against him. Uh, but 128 for any player, especially in a playoff game, that's just an enormous number. So I get
Yeah.
it. I get it.
Yeah, and I guess for the viewers, it is important to caveat. I think from the two games in the regular season, he had 300 plus yards. Uh,
Yeah,
so
pretty
this
evenly
would
split
go
too.
against historicals, but it's the playoffs, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it's like Will said, this is kind of a we're going for a long shot, so this is kind of a Commanders centric bet. So we're betting on the Commanders to overperform a little bit here, or perform well, and I guess containing Saquon would be a component of that.
Yep. And we've
Um,
got it locked in.
yeah, we've got this one locked in, $5 to return 131 or right around there, and
To
then
return, wait, how much? I think you said to
one
return 35.
30. Oh yeah, sorry, to return 36 and a half. Yeah, sorry, I was just looking at the to win.
Yeah, the Commanders won $5 bet to return 35, profit yeah, profit 30.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that takes us, I think this is the number you were just looking at, Mike. Our other plus
Oh yeah,
400
it was.
play for the second game, we've
Mm-hmm.
got another $5 bet. This one we were able to lock in at plus 420. You can see
Mm-hmm.
it here on the screen below. So this one's a $5 bet that will pay out $36.50. So slightly larger return than our other big play. But I'll briefly run down this one, Mike, and then just get your thoughts. Josh Allen to score a touchdown. We both feel good about that. I think he's the most likely player that Vegas has scoring. I think it's slightly minus, like minus 110, minus 105. So certainly not a lock, but if we're going to get a touchdown score involved, which you almost have to do to get to plus 400, we're going to ride with Josh Allen there.
Yeah, he had what, two against the Ravens. He could have easily had one in the game before. I think they gave it to Cook, but they had a clear tush push situation. Any
Mm-hmm.
play on the goal line for the most part, he's going to get it across, and even when they're in the red zone, he's always a threat to run. So yeah, he's definitely the one we're going to lean on. Um, we've got this is a Bill centric bet again. We're going for the big plus money, so we're kind of trying to give the underdogs a little bit of an extra cushion rather than trying to buy into the winner. Especially with this one being such a close, I think it's 1.5 is the spread at the moment. So we've got uh, Mahomes over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Hopefully he's trailing and trying to come back, and that's where that comes from. Josh Allen 40 plus rush yards. Maybe a 40 or 50-yard rushing touchdown wouldn't be the worst thing. And then
Yeah.
Bills, we've bought about 5 points, so we got them up to Bills plus 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5. And if you're wondering, 7.5 does not keep you at plus 400, or else we would have gone that route. But 6.5, still feel okay about it. Honestly, I don't hate the Bills to win this game, but we'll keep the points with them. Stay as close to plus 400 as we can.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you
So
and
go ahead.
no, I was gonna say you may be able to take if you want to take the Bills money line, you may be able to reduce those Allen rushing yards or play around with things, to kind of tweak it. There's a lot of different ways to get to plus 400, but this is the one we like and what we've got locked and loaded.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, that wraps up our lock it in segment. Those are the three we have locked in so far. You can bet your bottom dollar we'll be locking in more by the time we drop our next video on Sunday.
Yeah. All right, up next, we've got our plus 100 playbook. This one for now is relatively brief. We're making an anticipation play. So we're anticipating a same game parlay boost from Bet365. If not, we've also got in our back pocket that FanDuel plus 100, 20% boost. But we're really hoping that Bet365 comes through with at least a 30% boost, maybe even a 50% boost on a plus 100 parlay. And this is what we've got ready in our back pocket for when that drops. We're targeting that second game. We're looking at we've got 3 legs to hit exactly plus 100. We've got Patrick Mahomes for one single passing touchdown. That
It's
should
a lock.
hopefully
A
be a
lock,
nice
Mike.
floor. We've got over 5.5 points in the first half for Buffalo. So they need to score at least 6 points in the first half. So we're hoping that whether it's 2 field goals or a touchdown, hoping that
Three
happens.
safeties.
And then probably the longest shot of the parlay, still I think a relatively safe floor is DeAndre Hopkins 20 receiving yards. Now I know he blanked last weekend. He's you know we talked about
Goose
him, I think,
egg.
earlier, potentially being a safe floor for one reception. He didn't get it, but I think that will feed into him getting at least a reception or two. He's such an experienced player. He's come through big for the Chiefs multiple times this year since being traded. I don't see any way that they ignore him for the whole game and he doesn't get at least one or two or three receptions that hopefully, get him to that 20-yard mark.
All righty, it's time for our final segment, the final tally. This is where we recap everything from the past week. You'll see on here our bets from the national championship. You'll see our midweek promo bets. You'll see our action from last week, and then you'll see the bets we just talked about earlier in the video with the result as TBD. And we've been excited to build out this promo playbook tracker, and I think long term it's going to be a game changer for us. We've got long term goals to make this a live view file so that some of our followers can kind of check this. A lot of these promos, especially throughout the week, these Bet365 ones that come up every day on a Tuesday, a Monday, a Wednesday, that are relevant to sports that me and Mike like, obviously. We jump on those, but we don't have time to share those with you all in the videos. We're aiming to do 2, maybe 3 videos a week, and that's usually around the weekend. So we don't have time to share every bet yet, but I think this tracker will allow us to do that with you all in real time. So before I pass it over to you, Mike, just a general recap. We've got our, the date we placed the bet, the sport, whether it won, yes or no, or TBD. And the formulas all allow it so that when we put in how much Mike bet, how much I bet, and you can see from last week we had some separate bets, but going forward, it's going to look more like this where we're both riding the same bets. We'll have the odds with the boost, and then we'll have the potential payout and the net result, and then our year-to-date profit, our month-to-date profit. And Mike, if you want to show them, you can expand it too.
Yeah. So you can
And you can
expand.
see, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say we've got to count this little minus plus thing because it just takes up a lot of space. But we don't have this for every bet. We have to go back in and look. But for the most part, we've tried to add in each leg for each bet. So if you're curious, like what this same game parlay boost that we didn't hit we've got all the legs kind of written in there, and then you can see coming up the legs we've got going in forward. You can see for the most part we're pretty NFL heavy with a little bit of USC involvement, a little bit of soccer involvement, and then I think one or two NBA games mixed in there as well. But for the most part, football and soccer is kind of our bread and butter, and we're as those sports start to slow down, we may try to dabble in other sports, but that's kind of where we're looking at right now, at least for the most part.
Yeah. Future, as Super Bowl's coming up. That's going to be sad when NFL's done, but I think soccer will keep going, and we're massive soccer fans. And we do a little bit of NBA, especially Super Boost centric. But when the NBA playoffs come around, I think we'll involve ourselves in the promotions affiliated with those as well.
Yeah, 100%. Anywhere we can get on Vegas' side, right?
Exactly. And yeah, once we do figure out exactly the best way to share this, with our viewers, with our followers, we'll be sure that any bet we put in here with a TBD will have the legs that we put in it as well for reference. Obviously, you can, we encourage you to bet the way you want to bet and to use the promos to fit your betting style. But we're happy to share how we're riding each promo.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Sweet. Well, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Please like the video, and if you've got any requests for, feel free to ask us. We're checking the comments. Ask us what we think. If you've got a bet you like, we'll give you our thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And again, you can see just in this week that we've been out, we've made a lot of changes to the structure of the video, the way we're doing things. So we're always looking for that feedback, always looking to make improvements, and really excited to see where the future of this channel takes us.
Yep, let's continue to grow. Let's get that profit up and up. Remember, we're not aiming for it to hit 300 overnight. We like the slow, steady climb. We love
Hmm.
watching sports, and making money along the way just makes it all that more enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we'll plan to be back again shortly over this weekend, potentially Saturday, definitely Sunday. And until then, uh, have a good one.
Yep, enjoy.